Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's open forum. Today we have a couple of requirements we're going to go over, and then we're going to talk about any of the questions that you guys might have. First thing I want to cover is I'm excited for you guys. The market is, for whatever reason, I don't think it's a huge financial reason at this point, but it is picking up. At least we're seeing a lot more sales on you guys. I mean, significantly more than in previous months. So we are loving that, and you guys are obviously enjoying that as well. So one of the things I want to talk to you about, a couple of things, and we've been getting a little bit of pushback on these because you guys, I don't know yet, some of you haven't been at our trainings and you aren't aware, but we have now what is called a flood disclosure. Since last October, this has been due, and you may not have heard about it because you've been turning in seller's disclosures with all your deals, or you haven't been super active. But if you've been turning in seller's disclosures, there is a part on the seller's disclosure that covers flood. Has there been any claims, etc.? But they have made, but as you guys may or may not know, a seller's disclosure is not legally required. We have to have them if there is one. If there is one and we don't have it, then we're in trouble. You know, if there's ever a case, and we do get at least 4, 5, 6, 7 a year of defects that they find after they've lived there 6 months, and they blame it on the seller. The seller already knew, et cetera. So lawsuits come out of these things. Insurance companies are involved. So we get subpoenaed for our records. If you're some of you on this call have been subpoenaed for your records of your own deals, because we don't get copied on every inspection report or whatever, which you can or cannot put it in paperless pipeline. Anything that's not required, you are certainly welcome to put in the paperless pipeline for record's sake. They're stored in the cloud for 7 years, and you are certainly welcome to do that. You don't have to. You only have to do the ones that are on the checklist. If there's a seller disclosure, we need it. We get audited for it. If there is not one, that's okay. Attorneys will tell sellers not to do a seller's disclosure. To disclose, you always have to disclose. Just want to be very clear about that. You always have to disclose anything of material value of the home, any defects of material value. But you don't always have to have a seller's disclosure. Okay. If there is a seller's disclosure, you need to have it signed, and you need to upload it onto your paperless pipeline and keep a copy for yourself. So that is that. Let's look now at the flood disclosure, which I'm going to open up. And blow up. The flood disclosure, guys, is very, very simple. It is, I'm going to read it to you, but this is required on every deal that does not have a seller's disclosure. So yes, we will be bothering you for this. We're getting a little bit of pushback from you guys on this recently. Like, what is that? Why do I have not heard of that? It's been required since last October, and it is mandatory. Okay, if you don't have seller's disclosure. Florida statute 689.302 requires a seller to complete and provide a flood disclosure to a purchaser of residential real property at or before the time the sales contract is executed. Seller, whoever it is, provides the buyer the following flood disclosure at or before the time the sales contract is executed. At or before. See, they do this twice, underline in bold, at or before. That means you can't do it later, and then if they back out of the deal, then that's your fault. If you disclose it later and they back out of the deal, they have every right to do so, because this was supposed to be provided at or before. So have your sellers fill this out with the listing agreement and put it as an attachment on the MLS. Okay, that is your main requirement, and you also should provide a copy and email it to them at the bottom. So the sellers sign this, right? All it says, flood insurance. Homeowners insurance policies do not include coverage for damage resulting from floods. Buyer is encouraged, unless you get the flood coverage. Buyer is encouraged to discuss the need to purchase separate flood insurance coverage with buyer's insurance agency. So seller has or has not filed a claim with the insurance provider relating to flood damage on the property, including but not limited to the claim with the National Flood Insurance Program. Seller has or has not received federal assistance for flood damage to the property, including but not limited to assistance from the Federal Emergency Management Agency. And for the purpose of this disclosure, the term flooding means a general or temporary condition of partial or complete inundation of the property caused by any of the following: the overflow of inland or tidal waters, the unusual rapid accumulation of runoff or surface waters from any established water source, such as a river, stream, or drainage ditch. Sustained periods of standing water resulting from rainfall. Seller signs this. You date it whenever it was with the listing agreement, and you provide a copy to them. You should do this even if you do have a seller's disclosure. Just throw it in your listing packet. Have them sign it. Okay. And you're going to put it as an attachment on the MLS, and you need to email it to them at some point when they accept your offer. Obviously, it doesn't have to be emailed to them at or before the time of sales contracts execute, but you should do it when you execute the contract. Okay. If you are a buyer's agent and you see this attachment on the MLS, go ahead and put it in your package that you send back to them. The buyer doesn't sign it anywhere, but just go ahead and put it on the package. All right. So I find it interesting. It doesn't make a lot of sense just to be, it makes sense that you're disclosing this. Doesn't make sense that the buyer doesn't sign it. I don't know. It makes it seem unserious, but it is absolutely required. It is an absolute law. So they actually passed a law for it. And they told us about the time all this stuff was happening last July, August, that it was going to start being required in October. And they did. I don't think they planned it for when all that other stuff was going on, but that's the way it worked out. So that is a requirement. Flood disclosure. Do you have any questions on flood disclosure? When you need it and do not need it? Yes, Vivian.
So this is perfect for my Davis Island sellers. I was not going to have them do a seller's disclosure because it's a tear down from the flood damage. Yeah. But I would still give them this.
Absolutely. And it's very obvious, but you do it anyway. Yes. Pablo, did you mean to raise your hand? If you might be on mute, but you've lowered your hand, so you might not. Any questions on this? When is it required and when is it not required? Yes, Maria.
Hi, Ryan. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Ryan, I have a vacant land listing that is expired next month, and I have the seller's disclosure. Do I need the floor disclosure too, or no?
No, so you have a vacant land seller's disclosure, right?
Yes.
Okay, no, that has a very clear thing about what.
Okay. And I also have a condo for sale, and I have the seller disclosure, so I don't need it, right?
A condo for sale, you're correct. If you don't have a seller's disclosure, if you have a seller's disclosure, you don't need it.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you, Ryan.
All right, you bet. If you look on your seller's disclosure, I forget what page it's on. It's on the bottom of one of the pages. It says clearly it covers all this flood stuff. But a lot of deals don't have seller's disclosures. Pablo, you're back in it.
Yeah, sorry, I'm having issues with my internet. But the question is this on your pipeline checklist for listings?
It is, absolutely. Yes, it'll say seller's disclosure, and it says flood disclosure if no, it says in parentheses, I think, if no.
If no. Perfect. Okay.
So she'll mark it. So when she sees a seller's disclosure, she marks both of them off. Okay. Or if she sees this one, she gets rid of the seller's disclosure and checks this one off. Okay. Tammy, was that your question?
No, I just thought you said we need this regardless of the seller's disclosure because the seller's disclosure isn't mandatory, but you're saying if we have a seller's disclosure, it has to be turned in so it covers the flood section.
Yes. And if it has, it has to be turned in anyway for liability, for us to have it.
Yeah.
Seller's disclosures are great for realtors. They protect us. Sellers can never come back and say, I told Tammy, I don't know why she didn't tell him, right? Then put it on the disclosure. So it can never be, it absolutely.
So I just sent a seller's disclosure and a flood disclosure to my new listing, but I guess it doesn't hurt.
Do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely do it. That's great. You can't over disclose. You can't whatever. No, absolutely do both. That's perfectly fine. That's why I was just telling you guys, take this to it, upload it on the thing. You're just more than covered. Okay. It doesn't even have a place for buyers to sign, but you're going to send it to them anyway. You do need to prove that you sent it to them. So make sure you email it. Don't just get down here and click the email thing. You need to make sure you did it. And it says what date on the date. Okay. Which is a pain too, because how are you going to do this? You have to put it back in your electronic signature thing and do all that stuff. It's a pain, but it is what it is. That's why you should have it in your listing packet, you should have it on the in the attachments on your MLS, where they can pull it down and they can put it in there. Okay. So if you're the buyer's agent, you go ahead and put it on there, copy to provide it on buyer, whatever date it is you're submitting the offer. Just makes the whole thing easier. Any other questions on the flood disclosure? Okay. So we just got a lawsuit, and we had to settle this lawsuit. One of our agents got sued, and we'll have to pay the settlement for fair housing. So a fair housing complaint. It was a they called on one of her listings. It was a rental, but they can do it on anything. And this was a quote unquote tester. And they called, told her they had a felony or been arrested for a felony, but not convicted, and went into all these allegedly. This is by the phone or whatever. So there's no proof of anything. They just said they did all this. So what we have, one of the requirements that we have going forward is in the public remarks of every listing, at the end, equal housing opportunity. At the when you advertise online, and this is part of our settlement, we need to have the equal housing logo, which is just the house with the equal marks in it. You guys have seen it before, and all of our internet advertising. Okay, so on MLS, you need to put equal housing opportunity. We will go in and do it for you. If you don't want to do it, we'll go into your listings and do it for you. But going forward, you need to do that, and you need to do it to protect yourself from this kind of thing. So that's what they're looking for when they do this. It's hitting a bunch of brokerages. There's lots of people, and it's the kind of thing you just settle because they settle for less than it would be to fight it. And it's a mess.
Are you putting that in public remarks, or
public remarks? So it'll be on Zillow. It'll be everywhere. So at the bottom of all Zillow, it has that little housing requirement. Anybody that's doing this IDX thing for a living, it has the equal housing thing at the bottom. It's real small at the bottom of Zillow listings. You got to scroll all the way to the bottom, and it's got the little thing on all the Realtor.com and Zillow and all those things. We need to have that as well. And they have
on a listing and a rental, like for sales and rentals.
anything. Yeah, everything's
everything.
equal housing opportunity, right? So
Yeah.
So yes, we need it on everything, and that's going to be every brokerage going forward is going to have to do that as well. So that is something that we need to have at the bottom of everything. If you've got your listings, go ahead and just update that at the bottom of your public remarks, so it shows up.
Even if it's a commercial property?
No, it's not. Commercial is not equal housing. So no, not commercial. Yes, Everett. You're on mute, Everett. There you go.
What was the lawsuit about? Thanks.
What was it about? It is about equal housing opportunity. You have to put at the bottom of all your public remarks, the last line, equal housing opportunity. I mean,
Right, but
put it anywhere in there, but I think.
why did the person sue? What? Because
So there was a tester, someone from a protected class who called, and our agent knew the law. She was absolutely perfect, but they said that she wasn't. And to fight it, according to her, she was absolutely perfect, but according to them, she told them that they were, that they would not be considered because they had been arrested for a felony, which I don't know if they can prove it or not, but to get all the discovery and all that stuff would have cost $10,000 to fight it, and they settled for half that.
Okay, but the homeowner, I mean the landlord, has the right to reject them anyway.
Based on certain things, but not on other things. It would have been a court case, Everett, but it's not worth. You can't fight something for $5,000.
Right. Okay. Got you. Wow.
And if somehow they win, they get the right judge and they win, then you have to pay their legal fees too, plus whatever they win, plus. I mean, it's possibility of a whatever, right?
Okay.
And
Did the E&O insurance cover that? Did the E&O insurance cover it?
You don't want E&O unless it's
Oh.
significant. I mean, E&O is when somebody loses their whole house. You don't do it for 10 or 15 grand. And this was less than that. Juan,
Just to actually repeat what you just said, but when we listed in public remarks, the last line, just the word equal housing opportunity, that's it.
equal opportunity housing. Yep.
Equal opportunity housing, and every advertising, everything we do, just
You-
make sure that always that sentence is there. That,
Well, it will be if it's in public remarks. It will be, or you could just use the. I would get it. It's great to get it on your business card. It's great to get everything. The little equal housing thing. A lot of you probably have it. I think BCI puts it on a lot of them.
the little
house,
icon.
the little
that was
house with the equals inside it. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Valona,
Now,
Go ahead,
vacant land, vacant land. Do you have any idea? I don't even know if vacant land is residential. Every time I call the to find out something, and I do vacant land more than anything else, but every time I call, I say if it's residential, it's the same rules as single family. I just don't
Yeah.
think it's right, but I don't know.
No, because if you, I think if you are selling a lot in a subdivision, I mean, I think you can certainly discriminate because you don't want certain people as your neighbors or whatever. Then yeah, I think it needs to be covered by equal housing.
But
It's
they told me
almost-
to put the flood disclosure too, and I'm like, but it's land.
You don't, no, absolutely, but land floods, and you can't build a
Yeah.
house there if it's in a flood zone, or it's in a if people get flood. But you're not going to file a claim for your vacant land. This is about filing claims and receiving money. But just go ahead and do it, because if you don't have the
Yeah.
other disclosure, you have to do it.
Yep, got it.
All right, Valona.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In reference to the equal housing,
Yes.
so I normally I sell new homes, so I don't do any listings, but I have clients that asked about rental, and say if I have a background and criminal background, is there certain properties I can't rent based on the landlord? And I normally will, I don't say anything about it. Like, it depends, on the background screening. What should I say? Should I not say it depends on?
You should say in writing. You should say we're absolutely equal housing, and we'll submit all applicants to the owner. That's it. But I
Okay.
would say we're absolutely equal housing. It's an equal opportunity housing home, and we'll submit everything to the owner for their decision. As realtors, we do not make those decisions, and if anybody does do something we don't want to know about it, we don't know about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't make the decision. I don't do rentals, but I was like, well, it depends on who the lease is. But okay, that's what I would say.
Felons are not a protected class. Criminals are not a protected class. Convicted criminals or convicted felons or whomever is not a protected class, and they're great people. It's up to the owner to decide. Just for equal opportunity housing in every single way, it covers every protected class.
Okay.
All right.
So, but you said criminal, felon. What was?
You can't. There's certain rules about denying them, housing.
Oh, okay.
That you do not want to get involved with, and you absolutely cannot just say, "Oh, no felons." You have to say, "We'll take a look at your background check, like everyone else."
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, true. Okay, so any other questions on flood disclosure or on equal opportunity housing? So be sure to get that. We're gonna have the logo available for you guys on Paperless Pipeline, the equal housing opportunity logo, and we'll have that available for you guys on Paperless Pipeline along with our other logos. Do you guys have any questions on any of that? All right, so the two requirements. The flood disclosure, if you do not have a seller's disclosure, flood disclosure required by law, we will not pay you unless you have it, because we have to have one or the other on every residential or residential vacant land sale. Okay. On the other thing is the equal housing opportunity. If you guys don't do that, please go in and do your listings, save Solange some time, because otherwise Solange is going to go in and add it to the bottom of your public remarks. Okay. Any
I
questions?
just added it to Michigan just to protect us.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's a listing. You've got a little bit of residential, maybe a little bit of commercial on the same property. Just add it. Who cares? Just put it. Any other questions? Pablo.
If the listing is pending, we still have to add it, or that's okay?
You can add it. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
I mean, I appreciate if you do. Next time you're going in there, even when you mark it sold, whatever, just add it.
Right.
Malvis.
Okay, I have a question about something else.
Mhm.
I have a tenant that just got approved for a rental property. The listing agent sent me a text message yesterday saying, send me your info. When I signed the buyer broker agreement for lease, he agreed to pay me $300. That's what I have in my buyer broker agreement. Well, as I was talking to the listing agent, the landlord is paying $200. So that means I can get the $200 from the landlord and $100 from my tenant.
That's exactly what that means.
Okay. I just wanted to double check and make sure that I don't need any additional paperwork of what I currently have.
Nope. Perfect.
Okay, got it.
If you
Thank
wanted,
you.
if you wanted all 500, you would need to modify. I just want to be clear about this. I know you're not going to, but if you wanted all 500, you need to modify your buyer brokerage agreement to 500, and let them know that the landlord is paying 2 and they're going to pay their 3. Okay.
Got you. Okay, thank you.
All right. Tammy.
No, I was just gonna say the same, to get the extra 200 and let the buyer pay the 3. But I
Right.
guess that's up to her. Yeah.
Yep. She can't do that without the buyer agreeing.
Right, exactly. I'd modify it.
Awesome. Guys, that great, Malvis. Thank you for that question. That was not what we were talking about, but now is the time to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Any questions that you guys have? Any questions that you guys have? Any listings you guys want to share with each other or ask questions about because you're having a hard time? A lot of people having a hard time with listings getting attention in any way. Yes, Valona.
Yes, I do have a question. I just closed on Monday. Prior to close, 3-4 days before closing, it was with Lennar. They asked my client for $5,000 to bring to close, to pay electronically before closing to do a transfer. I've never had that issue before, and if my client didn't have the money to bring it, they were gonna still charge my client $300 to change the closing date, $350 to move the closing date because he didn't have the additional $5,000. They already asked him to have in reserve $8,000. He had that, plus he paid the $11,000 down on for the down payment. I wasn't sure what to do about that. If he didn't come up with the $5,000, he was able to come up with it as a gift. But I didn't know what to do as his realtor. Is this common?
He had agreed to have that.
No, when we signed the contract, it said there was 0 closing, not to expect anything additional. That he had conditional approval, but they saw a transaction on his bank statement that he received money from a Hard Rock. He had a bet, one of those football bets, and he received $6,000 from that. And they kept asking one of the conditions to provide a letter from Hard Rock. So Hard Rock provided a letter on letterhead 3 times in 3 different ways. And the underwriter kept saying that she doesn't understand why. Well, she said she doesn't understand why they can't just send, that for that one particular transaction. But it was several transactions and it totaled $7,888. And she kept saying it didn't add up, but it did. Everyone added it up and it came out to that amount. Then she came back and said, well, he hasn't paid. He need to pay tax on his money. He don't pay taxes. He's filed taxes and his tax form stated that he paid taxes. He filed it as taxes. And she kept just kicking it back every which way. The realtor at Lennar, the sales agent, he was upset. And then the other mortgage company, the guy who was doing the mortgage was upset. They said, this is not conventional.
Right.
So I wasn't sure what to do as the realtor, but my
There's
client was
nothing
able
you
to
can
come up
do
with the
when,
money.
when underwriting has an issue like that. There's nothing you can do. Welcome to
Okay.
underwriting. That's a nonsense that they pull. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what they're going for. I don't know the guy's financials. I don't know anything about it. But that's not uncommon for underwriting to have a inexplicable problem with somebody. I don't know why they required more money from him. Did they give him some kind of? I don't know why they gave him some kind of assistance or something. Was there some reason they saw that he got extra money and they wanted it? I mean, that's
because the mortgage guy, he was like, it's been over the stipulation. If you receive money like from a lotto or whatever, or money cash, if it's over 60 days, it's obsolete. That was in December. We closed in just Monday.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Because I was like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with it. I was just trying to consult my client and work with him.
But they only wanted the money
everything.
because he had it. I mean, there's no way he wouldn't have had it because they only wanted it because he had it.
Yes. And so what happened? He did a gift, and they gave him the money right back at closing.
Yeah. Well, whatever. I don't know. I don't have any idea what was going on with it.
Yeah, they sent the e-check, and he got the money right back the day of closing. We got it about 4:30. And so it was like, if he didn't have it, couldn't come up with it, we weren't going to be able to close, and he would lose the house.
I don't know.
Okay.
Know. That's not common.
Okay, I'm glad that's not common. Okay. So it was a nightmare, but that was the question I had. But thank you.
No problem. No problem. Congrats on the closing.
Thanks.
Any other questions about anything real estate related? Anybody? Okay. All right. This is your chance, guys. I'm right here. Juan, what do you got?
Ryan, I'm sorry. Paper. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Juan. No, you raised your hand like a gentleman. It was Ryan's fault.
In paperless, I just closed on a deal a few days ago, and when he says add seller's name and email and title information and all that, even if it's included in the contract in other documents, are those extra additional forms that we have to put in? Is that something new, or
you write that in there, buddy? You write it in.
Okay, got it.
No, you write it in. There's a place to put that in. When you go into edit transaction, there's a place to put it in there.
Okay, so you don't need any copies or any other forms, just the data.
Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about that. So the reason we have you put in the title stuff, when we send a CDA for you, if you've misspelled something, which a lot of times you guys do, somebody's name on their email or something like that, it doesn't go through. If you whatever you a lot of times it's not right. So we have a better chance if you do it twice to make sure it gets done properly. Because we can usually make something of that, or we'll inquire if it's different. But a lot of times we send things to people because you guys make typos on their email or you give something like that. So just fill that part out. It auto fills for us into your CDA, which makes it much easier for us, and we get sent to the right place. And believe it or not, sometimes we even make mistakes and send it to the wrong place. So it's better if you do it and you put the right information in there so we can do that. That makes it a lot easier. As far as the seller's name and that's all important stuff for us to have as well. So you just write it in there. Okay? Perfect.
And I know Michaela is. I forgot to write the name of the new person. What is it?
Solange. She's on here right now.
Okay.
Solange. SOLANGE, but they're all sales at FLA Realty Investments. I know you guys are having a good time with Solange. Solange is doing great for everybody. Say yes. Awesome.
She's helped me a few times, but I forgot to update my contact. So
yeah, she's great. She'll be very helpful for you guys. Awesome. Oh, look at all the applause and stuff. She's amazing. All right. Enough about her. So Ryan, what do you got?
Yes, I have a quick question. I just want to know is if you have a listing, is the seller concessions that buyers are asking for, is that normal in today's market?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with interest rates and stuff like that, they're asking for a lot of concessions for buy downs of interest rates, or just to get money back to fix the place up or do whatever, or just because they can, so they can bring less money to closing. So there's lots of good reasons to have that. And it works out for sellers because things are still appraising. At this point, it hasn't become a problem yet. So that's another reason they're doing it, because realtors know it's not been a problem with appraisal. If appraisals were going down, then it would be a little tougher to get those. But right now, if you're on the buyer side, keep asking for them, because keep the prices high and keep asking for concessions, because it's still working. They're still appraising at value. I haven't heard you guys complain about appraisals coming in low.
Well, I'm on the listing side, and we didn't price it like super high. We priced it what we thought was very fair. And yet they're still, and we're paying them a commission, and yet they're still asking for the concessions as well.
Of course they are. And so what you're going to do is say, yeah, we can give you that $10,000, but we're going to raise the price $5,000 or whatever. So you can always raise your price. You can say, if we're going to agree to something, we can raise the price. If we're going to agree to a concession, then we can agree to raise the price up to, as long as it'll appraise.
Yeah.
So you got to have a really good idea. This is where your knowledge comes in. You got to have a really good idea of what it'll appraise for. And then you say, yeah, we'll do that. And then if it doesn't appraise, and you say, well, then we can't give you, let's just say we're going to raise it 10,000. We're going to raise it 5,000 and give you 10,000, right? Yeah, we'll give you that 10,000, but we're going to raise the price 5,000. And then it doesn't appraise for that extra 5,000. Say, well, we're not giving you that 10,000. We'll give you 5,000. That's all. It's fair. If we're going to lower it to that, if we're going to lower the price, then we can negotiate for something else, which is we're not going to give you that whole concession you asked for.
Okay. Yeah, I've been getting concessions requests for like $25,000.
Yeah, that's not
like, it seems a little bit high, but
that's not crazy. I mean, it is crazy. You don't have to agree to it. It is high, but I mean, what's the value of the house roughly?
The value of the house. What were we having listed, or like what you thinking of
either one, whatever you think. Which is, is it 500 grand, 600? What is it?
We have it at 525 right now.
Okay, so 525, and they want 15 grand in commission plus 25 in concession.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you think the house is worth?
540, 545.
It's all really well. You're already way down then. Then take it. If you think it'll appraise for 540, raise the price to 540 and give them all 40,000. Something like that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just throwing numbers out. You just, whatever the seller will take.
Sure.
But that's how you do it. You raise the price back up. If I'm asking for stuff and you want more for it because you're giving me money back, then fine.
All right. Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Jonathan T. Fulbright.
Hey man, how are you? I have a question on commercial. Is this okay?
It is completely okay.
Okay. We're running into a dry funding issue. We've got a lender that's out of California and they want 48 hours, 2 days on funding. And Florida is a wet funding state. Have you run across that and have any solutions or compromises in that?
I have not, and I don't know of any solutions or compromises. So, no, that's not. I don't see how it would, unless there's some kind of short bridge somewhere, which is expensive and annoying.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that and explain that, what you exactly mean by 48 hours funding and then wet funding in Florida? Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
There's going to be a gap. Jay Teller.
So in Florida, the statute, I guess it is statute, Florida statute, where wet funding is when the documents are signed, all parties receive money, right? So all the money is transferred at that time. Well, this lender is out of California, and their policy is that all the documents are signed, sent to them, and then they have 48 hours for funding, which goes against Florida law that says everything should be funded the day of closing, right? So everything should be funded the day that the documents are signed. So we're trying to figure out how to bridge this gap, so to say.
It is not dry funding's. I don't really understand why it's done at all, because I never had to. I've never been outside of Florida with it. Yeah, I just put an article in there if anybody's interested in reading the difference. But go ahead.
So are you representing the buyer or the seller, John?
I am the a refinance for a commercial property, and I'm one of the partners in it.
Because I showed up at a closing once, a residential closing, and I was representing both parties, which puts you right in the hot seat no matter how you look at it, right? And my buyer did not have his funding available, and the title company was trying to cover for him, which really pushed my button. So I ended up getting more money for my seller for that extra time that they needed to fund.
Chad, can you speak, Chad?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Ask your question.
Is it a private money or a hard money lender, or are you going through an actual commercial bank?
It is a bank out of California.
Okay. Yeah, as title guy 2, my only recommendation would be to find a different lender at that point. If you got approved at the one lender, you'd be able to get approved at another one, because there's not really going to be a go around that's not going to cost you a lot of money in fees and things.
I got to pay $300,000 on May 1st, so I don't have time for that. So
Jay, what is the amount?
$7.5 million.
Okay.
If do me a favor and shoot me an email, I'll reach out to some of my commercial lenders and see, because it's just a refinance, right?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, that shouldn't take insanely long to work through. I'll reach out to some lenders, in Florida, and see if it's even, possible potentially to, get it done. But did they disclose that at the beginning?
Oh no.
They were. Okay.
And this is a big institution out of California, and they do loans all over. So I don't know. I know that they've closed other loans here in Florida. I just don't know what the workaround was.
If you can send me an email, I'll put my email in the chat. I'll talk with a couple lenders down here, and I'll talk with underwriters over at title companies too, a couple different underwriters, and see what they suggest and see if we can figure out a workaround to help.
Jay,
All right, thanks.
what do they say, Jay? If they're writing loans all over the country, what are they saying?
We're waiting for a reply.
Okay. Well, that's going to be the answer. I mean, if they're writing them all over the country, then they've got to have some way people are doing it.
Yeah.
If not, call me after. I've got a couple of ideas for you.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet. Any other questions? Yes, Kathy.
Yes, I have a listing I don't feel it's overpriced, and it's been on the market for over a month now, and I've gotten only one showing, and I'm a little bit concerned about that. And I don't know anybody that can look at it in a way that they can give me feedback, like, okay, you need to do this, or your pictures are not great, or something, something that tells me how to improve this.
Where is your listing?
It is in Sorrento.
Okay. Let's anybody, why don't you put the address in the chat,
Okay.
and we'll see if we get somebody to take a look at it, knows about that market.
First, I have to find where the chat is here.
Okay, bottom right, there's a bottom
Right
right.
here?
There's
Okay.
All right, there you go. Let me get to Juan, and we'll get back to that. Juan.
Do you happen to know in Redfin, I've noticed that in Redfin, they have your number as the contact in the top. And in Zillow is my direct number. And I was wondering, is it possible in Redfin to one way or the other have our direct number instead of yours?
Is it my personal number?
It is a 207-2220.
That's the office.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I don't know. I don't even have to ask Redfin. That's the broker number. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a tweak or something we can change
Oh.
because Zillow allows you, but Redfin somehow it doesn't. I was wondering if somebody knew about it.
Okay. Bonnie and Kathy, you want feedback on your listings? Well, someone, if you guys don't mind, give them a look at their listings, and if you have time, and give them a little bit of feedback. And why don't you guys give each other feedback as well? Let's see what you got. And your two listings aren't too far from Leesburg and Sorrento. Donnie looks like he's got nothing to do today, and he knows that area too, North Lake County. Donnie's in Sumter and Citrus and the Villages area, Lake Panasoffkee, all that area. Ryan's got one as well. Viv.
So actually, this is a good point in this conversation to ask about this. When you're under contract, like I had to switch my Plant City buyers from one address to another, I did an updated search, and there were like 3 new listings in that week, and maybe one had gone pending or one had sold. I don't remember. But I tried to track the market activity to the last minute so that these buyers would at least have an updated version of what we'd originally seen. Where's the cutoff for that? I mean, literally, I other than waiting for things to be recorded, I don't know what else to do to get the most updated information.
There is no. You can call the agents.
Okay, so if it's off MLS, I won't know about it unless it's recorded.
Right, but if there's an agent yeah, you won't know if there's a sale off MLS. You won't even know it's sold. How do you even know if there's a pending contract? Okay, you don't. So
because people talk about it, but I can't give some generic information that I don't have accurate backup for. So, the other agent said, well, so-and-so sold down the road, blah, blah, blah. And I said, but it's not in MLS. She says, yes, it was a private sale. I said, well, until it's recorded, I cannot use that.
Correct, because you won't know, and you're not going to call the buyer or seller and ask them. So no. You will. So you guys have all had people call you before about listings that have sold, or if you're on. Typically, when you have a listing that's pending, and they'll say, can you give me some kind of idea of what you got for that? Because they're looking at something down the street, or they've got a listing down the street, or something like that. And you can give them some kind of idea. You can't tell specifics, but you can give them some kind of idea. And that's your only hope until it's recorded. That's all you can do. All right. Any other questions before we go? I will tell you, there has been, so let's talk a little bit about the listings that are not getting showings. I know you say it's priced right. This market is slow, and some markets are slow for some price points. You are getting nothing, even though you know you've got a good price. Typically, in a balanced market, if you're not getting showings, you're overpriced. If you're getting showings and you're not getting offers, it's not showing well. So those are your two options really on that. But right now in this market, a lot of things that are priced well, you could drop the price $100,000 and you still not get a lot of action. Just there's no buyers for it right now. That's the way it is. You're going to have some of that right now. So, people are saying it's an even market. I'm finding that some listings in some areas, even if they're not priced great, are getting snapped up, and other ones, even if they're priced right, are not. It is just the way it is right now. It's just not a lot of buyers. Bonnie, so don't just go dropping your price if you're not getting anything. You just have to tell the sellers they got to be patient, unless they really want to do it. Does it help to put it on? It helps to put it everywhere. Get it out there. It does not hurt. I can tell you that. Get it out there. And it's not expensive.
Once interest rates adjust, won't that pick up activity too?
Of course. Bonnie.
Yeah, so the listing that I have in Leesburg, I think my opinion is it's 55 plus community and it's in the 430s. And I have another one in the same community that I just listed this past week. and it's in the 330 range. And I've already had 2 inquiries on that one.
Hmm.
I think you're correct with pricing and not, people just are tired of paying high prices, I think.
Yeah, it's just it's dropping the price a little bit really isn't even helping much. Incrementally dropping it in some areas, it's just not even below market value. It's just not helping in some areas. We'll be on our list after May for the summer. Maricel, if they can, I guess. I mean, I don't think it'll be worse. They'll be going home market privately next month. Awesome. Let us know about that when it happens. Guys, use our Facebook page too, our FRI agents group. Use that for advertising your listings amongst us. And if you need feedback on something, put it on there as well. Bonnie.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. This is a little bit off the topic, and I know I've spoken to you about it a few times before, Ryan. I've not done off-market properties before, so I'm very, very nervous. I just signed out an office exclusive listing on one just for a short term to see what kind of offers they get. So just to clarify, I can put it on our Fry Facebook page, correct?
Yes, as long as you have a MLS exclusion.
Yes, I do. But then that's all I can do basically, or just reach out to investors individually.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. I just don't want to, I know there was some new change in the clear cooperation rule, and I hadn't heard of that yet. Somebody just told me about that.
Yeah, be wary of what you hear on the street. But yes, you as long as you have that MLS exclusion form, you're fine. You still need that for now.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet. Valona.
Hi. Yes, I get questions all the time about off-market properties, but I have no idea where to look.
Because they're off market.
Yes, because I was like, where people get these off markets? Is it just like somebody selling it? You haven't listed it yet?
Yeah, Vivian says drive around. That is I don't know about that strategy, the price of gas and everything. I don't know about that strategy. It is hard. Everybody wants off market. You just got to run into off market stuff. You need to put feelers out that say, what I would do is I would get on social media and say, hey, I'm looking for something off market in this area or in that area. Like Chad saying, investor groups, etc. I'm looking for something off market. Everybody wants something off market that hasn't been picked over. Right now, you can get good deals on market. Look at everybody in here trying to say, buy my listing, buy my listing, buy my listing. You can get good deals on market right now. So that's something to consider as well. So, but you're going to get a lot of questions from investors for off-market properties. You're going to get all these texts that we all get. Hey, you got anything off market? You got anything off market? Because they've seen everything that's on market, or because they think on-market properties are going to be more expensive, because that's why we put things on market, right? To get more buyers, get higher prices. That's why we list properties for people. Otherwise, sellers' FSBOs will be better than regular ones. So you can look for FSBOs, you can look for whatever, but everybody says they want off-market properties because it's assumed to be a good value. But right now, there's good values on market. But what I would do is, yes, advertise on my social media that I'm looking for something off-market in this area or that area. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
But that's how you get, because then people will say, oh, like Vivian, she just said she's going to list her house. I just privately listed. So she'll tell you about her house next month if somebody asks for something off market. Now, are you going to get a great deal from Vivian? Probably not, because she knows the market. So no offense to Vivian. I mean, she's going to get market value, right? She's not trying to get less than market value for her own house. So is that going to be a great deal? No, it's going to be a market deal. Bonnie.
Yes. So again, on the off-market thing. So I had someone give me a non-circumvent form. And it was from an agent out of state. Can I send it to you? So basically, basically, like if the seller doesn't want to sign anything, any type of listing agreement, but I can have the potential investor buyer sign even the buyer broker agreement and this non-circumvent form. And it's basically saying that they're not allowed to approach the seller without express permission from Florida Real Estate
Who is this out of? Is it a referral to you?
Yeah, it's a referral. Yeah.
But you've already signed a referral agreement.
Yes.
Yeah, send me that form and
Okay.
your referral agreement.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard of that, but I don't know how it makes sense. in
Yeah.
that
I'll
regard.
talk to you. I'll talk to you offline about it.
Maybe they don't. Will this person not going to sign a
It's
listing
actually a
agreement?
service I'm paying for. I've had it for about
Oh,
3
okay.
months now. And they're giving me a lot of leads that way, but I've yet to close one, so I'm still deciding if it's really worth the money or not.
Okay.
So, but I'll talk to you. I'll send it
tell
and
you,
talk to you about it.
I will try to make it work, because I'll tell you, in this market, take any kind of lead source you can get and
Yeah.
see if it works out for you.
Yeah. All right. Awesome.
Maybe a long-term, you become a good, reliable partner for them down here, and you might become a long-term thing for you.
Right.
Valona, is your hand still up, or did you raise it again?
No, I don't know how to take it down.
Okay. I got you. Just hit the hand.
Okay, I did. Okay, I found it. Sorry.
That's all right.
I'm gonna have to have a mic.
Juliana.
So I have a situation with someone that's interested in buying and selling her house. But so she bought the house about 2 years ago out in Kissimmee, almost out of Kissimmee, more like Poinciana.
Mhm.
She got the house for $324, but now she's tired of her commute because she works here in Orlando and her kids go to Orlando schools too. So she's asking me whether she sells or she rents that house and ends up renting here in Orlando as well. Because I'm telling her, selling, she's gonna be at a loss. She's gonna have to pay for that difference once she sells. And with this market, I don't think she's gonna be able to sell it fast either, and she's gonna have to bring the price down.
Right.
So she's at a big loss. I don't know what strategy or what to suggest her not to sell and try to rent the house and see if, I don't think within a year the house is gonna raise in price.
I mean, it's probably, I can't give her any advice. I don't know her situation, but what do you think it would rent for? So the thing to do is to present a couple of options for her, to be her realtor, to bring value to her life and be her realtor for life, which is what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is to give her all of her options and say, look, this is what the rental comps are around there. You're either going to make a couple $100 or lose a couple $100 a month, and you're going to have some vacancy, you're going to have all of this stuff. Can you cover that if you rent this out and go rent something else in Orlando? Or you can tough it out here, because you're just going to have to tough it out here. And,
No, she's already going crazy, and she calls me, help me, I need to get out of here.
well, if she can afford it, then her quality of life is important to her.
It's
and
gonna
that she can afford losing probably, and I'm saying this, I don't know if it'll lose a couple $100 a month, $500 a month, or if it'll make $500 a month or $200. I have no idea. But
No, we
I know
did
what her
comps
mortgage is.
on the rental, and it's not even gonna pay her mortgage or cover
Right.
the mortgage.
So can she pay a couple $1,000 a month to live in Orlando, plus cover that extra $500? Plus, if it's vacant for a month, another $2,500 mortgage payment or whatever it is. Can she do all of that or not? And is it worth her quality of life? That's
Right.
a decision for her. But you're going to present her with all of these options.
Okay. Yes.
All right? even find her a rental in Orlando that she could, just a sample one. Doesn't have to be the one she's going to move into, but just like, here's the kind of place you said you wanted in Orlando, and here's what it's going to cost you every month, etc.
And what I thought it was asking for closing statement to see on the sale it's gonna have to come up with if she was to sell the house and
So,
be at a loss.
a net sheet.
A net sheet. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Just contact title company and get a net sheet.
Okay. Yeah.
They're
Just
gonna
to
ask you-
be
they're
able
gonna
to
ask you for-
evaluate.
They're going to ask you for the sale price. You just give a sample sales price. A sales price. If it sells for, if we can sell this thing for $320, this is what you'll walk with by the time you pay your 5% commission and this and this and this and this. This is what you'll walk with, and so this is how much you'll have to bring to closing if her doesn't cover her loan.
Right. Okay.
So that's your other option. So you do the rental option, you do the sale option.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Either way, it sounds terrible.
It is, yeah. And she's coming from a client of mine from a few years, and she always sends me people.
Right.
She says that I'm perfect and then that I can do magic and this and that. But this is
too much. Yeah,
too much.
you better be able to do magic. It sounds like.
But okay, we'll do that. Thank you.
I'm afraid her money is going to disappear.
Mhm.
So, any other questions? Bonnie.
Yes. I'm sorry, I got involved in listening to the other conversation and forgot what my question was. I'll put my hand up again if I think of it.
Okay. You guys are going back and forth. I see in chat about each other's listings. That's great. So that's wonderful. Appreciate you guys helping each other out. Yes, Juan.
Ryan, will you consider in the situation from Juliana, since there's a loss when she sells something like creative, like what they do, like seller finance options or anything like that, would you consider some of that so she doesn't have to be negative $500 a month and don't have the responsibility as a landlord?
If she could have refinanced it or something, but not right now, she can't. There's no.
No, not refinance, like
well, I mean,
option, sell with rent with option to sell, or one of those, where she can take a little bit of her liability as a landlord out and charge more in those situations, or no?
I don't think she can. I mean, she can charge more, but I don't think she can. I don't think it takes away any of her obligation. Doesn't help her credit wise. So I don't know. And she's not really in an economic hardship, so she probably can't do anything with the bank to help in any way like that. And interest rates probably, well, it was 2 years ago, interest rates probably about the same as they were when she bought. So I don't know. Good question, but I don't see any way for her to do it. The real way to do it is to tough it out. Financially, the smart thing to do would be tough it out. And in 5 years, it'll be worth more than it's worth now. Right? She'll be glad she did it. But she's going to go crazy. Her quality of life is, I had this talk with an agent this morning, because we were talking about quality of life. And that's what you're doing with residential versus commercial. And that's what you're doing with residential. It's about quality of life. It's about, raising your kids in this house and, getting emotionally attached and doing this and that. It's about, what's it worth to you to live? Houses are not really, we think of them as an investment, but they're not. The one you live in is not really an investment. It's an expense. Housing is always an expense. Your car is an expense. At least the house, you get your money back out, most of it eventually. But even if your house appraises $100,000 in 3 years, you paid a lot more than that in typically in your interest in that meantime. I mean, it wasn't, it's an expense. You do the best you can with it, but it's an expense. So it is important to take quality of life into, we're living our lives. We only have so much time and we're burning through our years. So let's enjoy them and live where we want to live and not live in traffic between Poinciana and Orlando, which sounds, when you say the word Poinciana, I cringe. Think about that road that just makes you want to run off of it into a tree. Valona, sorry for anybody who lives in Poinciana and has to go to Orlando.
I have a person that's looking for a mobile home, but they want to buy land. So I'm looking for the land, and they asked about a couple of mobile home places. So I checked out some mobile homes, and they told me that they won't pay me commission because I have to do something completely different. And even though if I put, the client want to get the house put on the land, and they said if you have your own land, they can do the mobile home, but I won't get paid for it.
Correct. That's exactly right. That's not, well, I mean, they need to go directly to the mobile home park if they're going to go into a park and just rent a lot, because they're renting lots. They're not buying lots. They're renting lots. So that's
no, they want to buy land. So
well,
I'm
then they
looking
need to
for
buy
the
land
land
outside of a park, though.
Yes, it'll be like just regular, like an acre. So I found like an acre of land for them. But then I went to the mobile home place to get the home put on it.
Oh,
the mobile home place on it.
The actual mobile home place won't, because they're selling. Are they talking about selling vehicles now? Is that what they're talking about?
No, it's a very like a manufactured home.
Okay.
Trailer.
Okay. Well,
yeah, I went there.
Some of them have to be paying people, but I guess they're doing business well enough without realtors. I don't know. what
Yeah,
to
they
tell
said they won't give me a commission because they can't pay me because it's
Right.
not a house.
Yeah, then the kind you're doing, it's different between a manufactured home and a mobile home. Some of them you have to have a car dealer's license, and some of them you have to have a real estate license. So, yes.
So I
The
can
answer
do
is
it. I'm a dealer. I have a dealership. I have like 6 businesses. I have a dealership.
Well, that you need to ask them what you need to do to get paid. So I tell them
Okay.
you got an auto dealership, you got this, that. What do I need to do to get paid? Or
Okay.
you just have your buyer pay you. That's the bottom line. Your buyer is paying you, so they're just going to pay you. They're just going to charge the buyer more. So
Okay.
they
So
don't
I'll
have
do
that.
that.
They don't have that built into their pricing structure. So that's what they're telling you. It's not like Lennar where they have it built into their pricing structure. They don't have it built into their pricing structure.
Okay. So I do it that way.
So you're going to tell them, what do I need to do to get paid? And they're going to say, have your buyer pay you. And you're going to say, well, can I put it into this? And they put it into the payments. And that's that. From there, I don't know what the answers are.
Okay. Because I'm doing all this work. I need to get paid.
I agree, but you need to get paid from the land too.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
All right. Good luck.
Thanks.
Bonnie.
My dealer's license, huh?
Okay, I remembered my question and I was wondering, I'm sure everyone like me gets lots of texts from investors asking if we have any off-market properties. Is there a good way to know if any of them are legitimate? I've started replying to a few of them, and I just say, yeah, give me a call, and they write back and say they will, but they never call. But I've had one that's been in pretty consistent contact with me. Do you have any insight on how to know if they're legitimate?
I don't, other than getting the information. I don't get the end game if you're sending that out and people are responding with off-market properties. If you don't plan on buying any, I don't know what that is. But yeah, you can ask them for a BBA. They're not going to probably sign that, but at which I don't blame them, because they're sending out 1,000 texts and hoping that 6 people will reply.
And the other thing is, if I send them a BBA, now they have the address to the property.
Not on a BBA, they don't. You're talking about a showing agreement.
Oh, right. Never mind.
BBA says they're going to work with you, but
You're
they're
right,
not going to
you're
sign
right.
something that says they're only going to work with you in Florida. They might sign something that says they're only going to work with you in South Orlando or wherever wherever
Right.
you farm
And
it.
I think I messed up. I think I told them I'd send them a BBA for the specific property.
That's okay. It's just a showing agreement.
But
It's the same.
but even so, if I did that, there's nothing to make them sign it once they get the DocuSign and they see the address. How do I protect myself if the seller didn't want to sign anything either?
I don't. I think they're
No
going to
way.
do a lot more work than just give them an address.
Yeah.
They don't have anybody to contact. They don't have anything. I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
it's mostly a waste of time. Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
But is it a scam? I don't necessarily think it's a scam unless
Yeah.
they keep asking you for more stuff. I don't think it's a scam. I mean, I don't get the point of that scam. But
I don't either, because most of them just give me their first name.
I think they want great deals, and so
Yeah.
if it's not a great deal, it's kind of like a dating site. If it's not a great deal, they're going to ghost you.
Right.
But if it is, they're going to do it.
Right.
I don't ask me how I know about any of that. Any other questions? All right. Well, we're going to go then. No other questions. All right, guys. You guys are doing great. Numbers are picking up. I know it's frustrating out there, especially with the listings and getting buyers. But now is the time, guys. We talked about if you missed the one we did, a couple that I let AI do the training for us, it was fantastic. It was on growing your business a couple weeks ago. Make sure you watch that. Now is the time, guys. I can't emphasize enough. Now is the time to grow your business. Now is the time to take a bigger piece of the pie. So when the pie grows, and it will, when the pie grows, your piece will be bigger. Now is the time to do that. There is lots of inexpensive ways to grow your base right now. I love what Juliana was saying. that she's got this lady out there saying that she does wonders and she's a magician and this and that. That is perfect, guys. Now's the time. And you take these deals, and $300,000 deals not going to make your year, but what it will do is make your future years, because that turns into a lot more, because she's telling all her friends about it, and it grows and grows and grows from there. And if Juliana keeps helping her, and Juliana's not going to be able to get her out of this situation she's in now with any kind of magic, but what she is going to do is give her all the options, give her all the service, and prove to her that she's a great realtor. She's giving her sound information for her to make her own decision. And so there won't be surprises for her financially down the line, like, oh my gosh, Juliana, you told me this and I'm doing this. It's costing me, $1,500 a month instead of $500, whatever, because she's going to give her good advice. And she's going to say, your house is only going to rent for this, and you're only going to do this, and you're going to pay this much in Orlando, and et cetera, right? So, and there's going to be vacancy from time to time on your resume.
Right. And just a quick thing. When she first came to me before she bought the house, I told her not to go that far because she was going to run into this situation. And now she's there.
Yep.
And she's saying, I regret not listening to you. I just wanted the house and I got a house, and now I have this problem. And I told her.
She thought she could deal with it, and she can't. I mean, we all have those things that go on in our life where we think we can deal with something and we can't. But you're doing what you can do, and you're going to be her realtor for life because you're giving her sound advice, and she knows now that she's learned her lesson for not listening to you, which is as important as learning it from listening to you. So great job, Chad. So what I'm saying is, take any business you can get right now and grow, great customer service and great follow-up, and you will make clients for life. Yes, Chad.
Hey, talk to the lawyer attached to a title company. He said that you can, back to John's question, he said that you can close and then basically hold everything in escrow until funding is done.
Okay.
On it. So it should be doable, but they just got to hold on to everything basically for 2 days until funding is actually done.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Well, I'll let him know. He's off the call, but I'll let him know. All right. Thanks, Chad. All right, guys. Sounds like John is a little nervous. It's a pretty big deal. So he's a little nervous. So I don't blame him. All right, guys. Everybody have a great night. Great day. Don't go to bed yet. Go out there and get some real estate, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody. Ryan's a legitimate investor, everybody, before you go. Bonnie. Oh, Bonnie's gone.
Yep.
Next time, Ryan.
All right. Yep. Next time.
Next time, say it a little earlier.
Yeah, I will.
All right. Bye, bye.
All right. See you, sir.